Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
The subject matter of this seminar is how to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada often referred to Krishna consciousness as a science, and we find this description of Krishna consciousness as a science throughout the Gita and Bhagavatam. So how to make advancement, it's not simply some imagination. There's a process. We find there are many people who imagine themselves to be advanced in Krishna consciousness. But to actually understand what advancement is and how to achieve it, we have to study the science of Krishna consciousness as given in the scriptures and by the acharyas. I'll break it up. To understand what is advancement and to make advancement, we have to follow the process as given in the scriptures and by the acharyas. So in any science there is theory and practical. Both theory and practical complement each other. Srila Prabhupada often said about the chanting of Hare Krishna that whether you understand what it is or not, if you simply chant, it will have effect. But at the same time, to be fixed in that chanting, we have so many books of knowledge to understand why we are doing what we are doing. So generally we go through theory first and then practical. Of course, in Krishna consciousness, when we first come, we're given something practical to do, like taking prasadam, chanting the holy names. But to take up Krishna consciousness seriously, we have to have the process explained to us. So theory comes before practical. Just like you have training to be a doctor before you perform operations. In Krishna consciousness, the two things go on side by side. Study of the process and practice of the process. So I'm going to start in the first day or two discussing some of the theory. What is advancement and how to practically make advancement. How to approach the process of making advancement. And then we can go into some practical discussions such as chanting the holy names, following the process of sadhana, controlling the mind and senses, and all these essential topics of advancement in Krishna consciousness. Now, to make advancement, first of all, we should know what does it mean to make advancement. We should define that. We should know what is our aim. Just like in any scientific process, before you start the process, you have to understand what are you aiming at. In a chemical factory, if you want to make some kind of plastic, you have to know what you want to make, and then you can set up the process by which it is made. So first we should understand what is our aim. Our aim is ahaituki apratihata bhakti, unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So what is the meaning of advancement? That means from our present position, which is not unmotivated, which is not uninterrupted and is hardly devotional at all, we have to come to the position of pure, unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service to Krishna. At the present time we have so many material desires. So advancement means becoming free from material desires and becoming attached to serving Krishna. Now, Srila Prabhupada several times said that if we simply follow the regulated principles and chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra throughout our lives, then we'll go back to Godhead. He also said that if at the time of death you have even the slightest material desire, then you have to come back to fulfill it. So it appears on one hand that Krishna consciousness is very easy. Prabhupada also said that Krishna consciousness is very easy. He also said and we also experienced that it's very difficult. Now, we have to go on chanting and following the regulated principles throughout our lives, but unless we're actually endeavoring to become free from material desires, we won't be able to do that. We see that many people come to Krishna consciousness and apply themselves seriously and sincerely.
Absolutely.
We see that many people come to Krishna consciousness and apply themselves seriously and sincerely. What happened? I have to speak right next to the mic. I have to speak into the mic. Like this. Is it on? alternatively, we can scientifically turn the sound up.
Oh.
And turn the sound up. Who's that sound engineer? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we see that even many people who come and seriously take up the process, but not everyone remains fixed on the path. So we want to remain fixed on the path if you want to make advancement in Krishna consciousness.
И мы хотим быть твердыми на этом пути, если мы хотим достичь продвижения в сознании Кришны.
But we won't be able to do that unless we are constantly striving for advancement. We have to constantly keep the goal, the aim fixed in our minds. Undoubtedly, we will be tested in so many ways. We find that in the scriptures there is discussion of so many different philosophies with refutations. Because as long as we are in contaminated consciousness, what is actually real may appear to be unreal and vice versa. For a person who is not in Krishna consciousness appears to be a fantasy. And we are surrounded by an atmosphere of non-Krishna consciousness. The external atmosphere is one of non-Krishna consciousness. Come inside, then air can come in also. And within our own minds we have so many doubts. And those who take to Krishna consciousness, they will be tested by Maya in so many ways. In the form of doubts, in the form of external difficulties. So, how to remain fixed on the path and how to go forward steadily despite all obstacles. Now, undoubtedly there will be many difficulties, but if we are convinced, then we will never go away. If we are convinced that whatever nonsense things my mind may suggest to me, or if we are convinced that whatever nonsense things other people may suggest to me are nonsense, and actual reality is Krishna and our service to Him, then everything becomes very easy. Not that there won't be difficulties, but if we always keep the understanding, the basic understanding prominent in our minds, then whatever else may happen, our conviction will remain fixed. I think anyone who listens to my lectures regularly, they know so many times I'm quoting this Bhakti Thakur. Jeev Krishna Das, Ei Vishas, Koraleta Ardu Konai. Koraleta Ardu Konai. Simply if we understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am His eternal servant, and all our problems are finished. It doesn't mean that you won't get sickness, old age, people harassing you, too hot in the summer, too cold in the winter. Those problems will be there. Those problems, external problems will remain. The one who is fixed in understanding of the reality of Krishna, he knows that all these things are temporary, they simply come and go. Just like now there is a lot of discussion about the upcoming disasters that so many astrologers are predicting and Nostradamus has apparently predicted. And there's so much discussion of how someone might land in a UFO and kidnap you. So these things may happen. But it doesn't really make any difference to the devotees of Krishna. Jeev Krishna Das, we are the eternal servants of Krishna. In this material world, sometimes there are great devastations. All these things come and go. But devotee simply remains fixed in understanding, I am the servant of Krishna. So this is the actual definition of advancement given in Srimad Bhagavatam and by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shadhavanjan hoy bhakti adhikari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one who has faith in Krishna, he is an eligible person for advancement in Krishna consciousness. Uttam madhyam kanishta shadha anushari. He is a devotee, is classified as topmost, middle platform, or neophyte, according to the degree of his faith. And then again, what is the definition of faith? Shraddha shabde vishas karhe surya nishchay jay Krishna bhakti karle aur sab karma krita hoy. That faith means firm understanding that if I simply serve Krishna, everything else is taken care of. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness is for making our faith strong. Neophyte devotee means his faith is soft. It's easily changed. A middle level devotee means whose faith has become strong. And topmost devotee means he has direct actual realization of Krishna. This development of faith is also discussed by Rupa Goswami in his famous. There's two famous verses in the Nectar of Devotion describing advancement in Krishna consciousness. The whole process is encapsulated. Ado Shraddha, he says that in the beginning there is some faith. Tata sadhu sangha, then one associates with devotees. Ata bhajana kriya, then one engages in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Ato anartha nivritti syat, then by engaging in the process of Krishna consciousness, what the bad things in the heart become diminished. Tato nishtha, then one's faith becomes strong. So in the beginning there is faith. That means in the beginning one has some inclination to Krishna consciousness. Some faith that Krishna consciousness is worth following. Therefore he associates with devotees. Then by associating with devotees, he becomes inspired to also take up the process of Krishna consciousness. Then by following the process of Krishna consciousness, he finds that actually it works. That actually I'm becoming free from unwanted activities and I'm becoming enlivened in Krishna consciousness. Then faith becomes strong. Then there is ruchi, taste, and then all the higher levels of Krishna consciousness developed. Attachment to the process of Krishna consciousness, feeling for Krishna and pure love of Krishna. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to increase our faith and attachment. And therefore, what is the process of Krishna consciousness? There are certain principles of which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended 5 as most important. Associating with devotees, chanting the holy names of Krishna, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and related scriptures from devotees, residing in a holy and worshipping the deity with great faith. There are other processes also, many others, and they're all meant for increasing our attachment to Krishna. All these processes are very powerful and they are essential for devotees to engage in. Just like we have this morning program, sadhana. Now this is very powerful. We follow this. All our acharyas, they recommend, engage in these activities to control the mad mind and fix it on Krishna. So many times you hear devotees saying, well, my mind this and my mind that. We have so many of these how-to questions. How to control my mind? How to chant more clearly? How to be sincere? So this, all the answer comes in just follow this process of Krishna consciousness. I was saying we have to be convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and we are His servants. So along with that conviction comes the conviction that if we simply follow the process of Krishna consciousness as given by Krishna through His servants, that we will achieve the ultimate goal. As Prabhupada said, if you simply stick to this process, you'll go back to Godhead. What is the process of advancement in Krishna consciousness? Chant Hare Krishna, hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, associate with devotees, serve the Sankirtan mission. So you may think, well, I don't need to come to this. I already know this. I don't need to come to this seminar. Actually, we all need to hear these things. Sometimes we become so much concerned with so many different peripheral subjects. But what is our basic ABC, bread and butter? What is our foundation? We go wandering on the chariot of our mind. We forget what is our basic necessity. What is the solution to all our problems? How can we quickly become advanced in Krishna consciousness? Or even if not so quickly, at least how can we make some advancement? Very, very simple thing. We have to have faith in Krishna, in spiritual master, the process of Krishna consciousness, chant the holy name clearly, with attachment, study the Srimad Bhagavatam, keep full-time engaged in Krishna consciousness, always endeavor to make advancement, accept everything favorable for advancement in devotional service, give up everything which is an obstacle to our advancement, and in this way go on throughout our lives in Krishna consciousness. Come inside, you also. Either come in or stay out.
Don't close the screens because mosquitoes.
Yeah, close the screens.
Можно там прикрыть вот эти сетки, наружные двери, чтобы комары не залетали. Mataji, can you close the screens also?
Now don't close the door, close the screen.
Нет, сетку.
Alright, so what is the thing that we preach about the most? It was the most important thing for making advancement. Actually, there are many most important factors. But the process that we preach to everyone and that we engage in so much is chanting the holy names of Krishna. How can we make advancement in Krishna consciousness? So there may be many answers to this question. So one straightforward answer is chant Hare Krishna, right? Chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. See, so you made some advancement now, practical seminar. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we see, he personally chanted Hare Krishna. And the acharyas in his sampradaya have engaged their followers in chanting Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gave us the process of sadhana bhakti, in which we are going to chant the Hare Krishna mantra at least 2 hours every day. Now every time we chant the name of Krishna, that is a tremendous opportunity to make great spiritual advancement. Because chanting the names of Krishna is more important than any process of spiritual realization, such as performing great austerities, engaging in yoga practice, giving cows in charity. Chanting the holy name of Krishna even once is more valuable than performing 10 million Ashvamedha sacrifices. Simply by chanting the names of Krishna, this awakens our love for Krishna. There, in the beginning, we say Hare Krishna. So Krishna's one name is Hari, important name is Hari, means he who takes away. So by chanting the names of Krishna, that we're inviting Krishna, please take away all my material attachments. And simultaneously, by chanting the name of Krishna, our attachment to Krishna develops. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Eto Shabhav Jai Jape Hare Krishna Upajai Bhav. It's the very nature of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra that anyone who chants it, their natural loving feelings for Krishna awaken. Because naturally we have attachment to Krishna. As Srila Prabhupada described, it is not an artificial imposition. It is the natural constitutional position of the soul to love Krishna. Can I request everyone, whatever they want to do, get up, open a window, close a window, turn on a fan, turn off a fan. Could they do it now and then just stop doing it? Because every time someone gets up, and everyone looks to see what is interesting. No one's concentrating. See, our attention for subject matters of Krishna consciousness is so slight that even though we've come to the holy dham to hear about how to become attached to Krishna, but we find the activity of someone turning on a fan more interesting. So please try to concentrate. It helps me to concentrate also. I also suffer from the same disease. Alright, so this chanting of Hare Krishna, how powerful is that? Every time we chant, there is a tremendous opportunity to make tremendous progress in Krishna consciousness. But it all depends on how we chant. If we don't chant in the proper way, we can go on chanting for millions of lifetimes and we'll never get love of Krishna. Bahujanma kare jadi shravan kirtan tabo tana pai Krishna padi premdam. If we chant offensively, then even if we chant for millions of lifetimes, we won't get love of Krishna. Dong used to say, power comes from the barrel of a gun.
Barrel of a gun?
It means from the gun. Mao Zedong used to say, power comes from a gun.
Now they say?
Mao Zedong, the Chinese demon. You remember? One of the billion Chinese demons. So we also almost the same. Spiritual power comes. How important is this? Chanting. But how are we going to chant? So we can quickly attain love of Krishna. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, he gave one formula. You want some secret formula how you can become quickly advanced? Ashe Prabhu kahe shuno Sharup Ram Rai ki bhave naam loile premu padai. He said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sarup Damodaran Ramananda Rai that Now I'll tell you how you should chant Hare Krishna, in which way your love for Krishna will very quickly become awakened. Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai. You see, one side there's chanting millions of lifetimes, you won't get any result. And on the other hand, there's one way of chanting by which you can quickly get the result. So what is the quick process? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told, what is his explanation? Tunadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One should chant the holy names, considering oneself more low than a straw in the street, more tolerant, that one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can actually chant the holy name of the Lord. Actual chanting begins then. Now, when we consider this actually, mostly we find this very difficult to put practice in our lives. Now we're in the opposite position. Instead of being more considering ourselves more low than a blade of grass, we are more puffed up than Ravana. We're in the neophyte position. So how are we going to come to that point where we can actually chant the name with love and attachment? Therefore we recommended, in the beginning at least, we have to practice hearing the holy names. Chanting clearly and hearing. It's a very simple advice. But how much is it actually practiced? And mostly we think, I have to finish my rounds. Now let me finish my rounds. And somehow or other I have these beads and I have to go around and I have to make some sound. And then when we've finished with a great sense of relief, we put away our beads. So this is, even then, there's some kind of chanting that may help us. But actually, how are we going to chant that we can quickly make advancement? Because all energy is there. Not here actually, but in the name. And this is the essential activity of Krishna consciousness. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata. Chanting the holy name. So chanting we should practice at least chanting clearly. Now this may sound like a very basic thing. It is. But it's very easy just to get into the habit of somehow or other making some noise in the name of chanting. Unless and until we actually develop taste for chanting, then it is a struggle with the mind to chant properly. Because it's much easier just to make some sound and let the mind go here and there, everywhere else. But real chanting by which we're going to make progress means chanting clearly and hearing the holy name, allowing the name to enter our ears and our hearts. 16 names, 32 syllables. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Unfortunately, often we hear some variations on this mantra. Variant, yes. I often hear the word in Russian. Variant means some other option.
Да.
And it's easier just to kind of merge the syllables together. Something like this. It's easier. It's on the tongue, and you don't have to think. You just kind of make some noise. So it may seem easier, but it doesn't give love of God. You have to chant the name of Krishna, not something resembling Krishna, but actually Krishna. The name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna, but that doesn't mean that any sound, something like that, is also equal to Krishna. So our sincerity will be shown by our endeavor to actually chant the names of Krishna. This is another vital factor, sincerity. Without sincerity, that's another thing we'll discuss. Without sincerity, there's no question of advancement. Sincerity means the beginning of love that there is some actual feeling for Krishna. We really want to serve Krishna. So sincerity will manifest itself in assiduously applying ourselves to the process of Krishna consciousness. So that attentiveness in all the process, in applying ourselves to the process of Krishna consciousness. That means in chanting, in hearing, in applying ourselves to the process of sadhana. The more we apply ourselves to the process, the more Krishna reciprocates, the more we get out of it. So this is one very basic point, which if we can just fix ourselves in this chanting, then that will very quickly carry us on the path back to God. Now this is something we should consider from time to time. Consider, how is my chanting? Because our tendency is to become slack and indisciplined. We have to see actually how are we chanting. Are we really trying to chant clearly and hear the names of Krishna? Are we calling out to Krishna, Krishna, please engage me in your service? We should time to time assess how is our chanting. Try to chant very clearly and hear. So many times the question comes, well, so many thoughts come in my mind while I'm chanting, what should I do? Once Prabhupada answered this question by saying that, where's the question of your mind? You simply chant and you hear. You don't have to have any negotiations with your mind. There's no need. Chant and hear. Chant and hear. Chant and hear. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In Gita also, Krishna advises that the mind by nature is not fixed. So whatever thoughts come into the mind, again and again, throw them out and be fixed in spiritual consciousness. As long as we don't have natural attachment to Krishna, then Maya is always going to be coming and offering some alternative. Maya will offer us millions of things to think about other than hearing the holy name. And even we're chanting and we're trying to hear, but then a little inattentiveness, and then all of a sudden we find my mind, again I've gone off. So then again, come back. And then again if the mind goes up again, come back here. It's yoga practice. But if we do this every day, we have this sadhana, every day chanting. But if we do that with fixed attention, then how much advancement we can make? So many problems with the mind will be overcome simply by chanting nicely. Chanting means also we should try to chant continuously. That means without doing other things in between.